Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 236 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week, kicking things off with the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard. How are you this week, Richard?
Excellent, Seth. It's my favorite time of the year, filthy casual week, ready to rock and roll.
We do have lots of filthy casual cards. It's Commander 2019 spoiler week, so that's going to be our episode, basically, talking new Commander cards. But before we get into all the sweet new cards, we have another co-host, Krim. How's it going today, Krim?
Hey, Seth. Very excited. Saw some of the new spoilers for Commander, so obviously I'm pretty pumped for the set.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for the set, too. I'm definitely excited. I feel like Wizards... They even said it actually in one of their streams that they kind of heard the feedback from the community based on last year's decks, which they were a little lacking in value. There were some complaints about certain ones of them, and it seems like they really are trying to kind of juice these decks a little bit, improve based on last year. So our show today, pretty much going to be all Commander 2019 spoilers. While the spoiler season this time is a little weird, where they're spoiling one deck a day, so we're like halfway through the Sultai deck, we did get a bunch of spoilers from across the decks from Gen Con, so we have plenty to talk about in terms of new cards. So we're going to talk new Commander 2019 cards, and then answer some fish mail. So that's our plan for today, and I'll kick it over to Richard. Usually, spoiler time means Richard can lead us through some cards. So Richard, take it away with some Commander cards.
Yes. Many names I cannot pronounce today. First up, Gerard. I'm gonna go with Gerard. Conclave Exile. 2 red, green, white. So 5 CMC, 2/5. Legendary creature, human shaman. When Gerard enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 green rhino creature token with trample. When Gerard attacks, populate. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking.
It's like a power, I don't know. It seems like they are trying to make the power level of populate a little bit stronger this time around. Cause populate and stuff like that hasn't really been that great in Commander, in my opinion.
Yeah, so
you get one whenever you attack.
Yeah.
So how about populate every turn?
Yeah, this is pretty powerful. Right? It's more powerful for populate, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I really like that populate in Commander 2019 is jumping into red along with green and white, which are kind of the traditional populate colors. And it's giving us kind of a more aggressive populate commander. We have Trostani, I think. Is it Trostani that was the green-white populate commander? But that's like a very defensive commander. It doesn't have much toughness. It kind of incentivizes you to sit back and gain life as your creatures come into play and then populate them. Gerard, on the other hand, is a populate commander that really wants you to be attacking. It has good stats on its own, like a 2/5 with a 4/4 rhino for 5 mana. That's fine value on its own. And then being able to populate every turn by attacking. I really like this kind of new, more aggressive direction that we see for populating Gerard.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Sword of the Myriad. So all of your extra commanders die, but you get all the rhinos, some kind of doubling season effect, and then some kind of extra combat. And then you go nuts.
See, I'm still thinking of fair magic. I just want to be like, I want to put a Helm of the Host on this.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
That is
super fair.
You gotta think about it.
What do you think about Naya? Siege Rhino can't join the fray here. It's a little sad.
I mean, I guess Rhino Tribal would be better if it was Abzan, but I don't think this is a Rhino card. I think it just incidentally makes a Rhino. I do think there are ways you can kind of go infinite with it by copying things that give you extra turns, like Combat Celebrant. Krim mentioned Helm of the Host. That's a good one. And one of the things I didn't really realize is red also gives you some cool ways to turn your creatures that are not tokens into tokens. Stuff like Heat Shimmer just creates a token copy of one of your creatures into end of turn. There's other Flame Shadow Conjuring. There's a few different red cards. So I really like that it gives you a way to kind of build around it that isn't as token focused. You can play just big green creatures and turn them into tokens to then populate them.
All right. So who's going to put a Helm of the Host? How many Gerards do you think we get on the battlefield at once? Because they populate each other.
Probably.
Once you get going.
probably not that many, because that sounds like it just kills everyone in pretty short order if you're like copying Gyards with Gyards.
Yeah, if no one has answered this Gyard, like then the whole table's probably dead.
All right. Next up, we have Kadena, Slinking Sorcerer, 1 black, green, blue, legendary creature, Naga Wizard, 3/3. The first face-down creature spell you cast each turn costs 3 less to cast. Whenever a face-down creature enters a battlefield under your control, draw a card.
I love this card. This is my favorite commander so far of the ones coming out from this season. I really like that the free creature turn, because it happens as soon, like you can get that free morph creature as soon as Kadena comes down. Obviously there's like cool interactions, like if you can get your stuff like flash or something. I mean, I believe, let me think here, like that should work, right? This is on every turn, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, so if you have like Ley Line of Anticipation, you can flash in a morph on every player's turn, essentially, for free.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's so sweet.
It's like super Animar, because you actually get to draw a card whenever you cast a face-down creature, and then you get a free creature.
I don't know if I think it's super Animar. I think one of the things I liked about this card is it feels really different than Animar. Every time I've seen Animar morphs, it's kind of like this all-or-nothing combo deck, where you're like, either you get your Animar, you grow it, you cast all your stuff for free and have like a Cloudstone Curio and just like combo off and play your deck, or your opponents just kill your Animar and your deck doesn't really do anything. Kadena seems more like a consistent value morph commander, where maybe you can like flash stuff in, you're getting a morph for free, but it doesn't really facilitate this like infinite combo turn. You're only getting 3 morph mana. It adds up to 12 mana every turn cycle if you can take advantage of like the flash trick, but you're never going to make like hundreds of morph mana like you might with Animar on your big combo turn.
So what if you just have, oh no, Animar's the wrong colors?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't feel as broken when it's on the board. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's like a million ways to go like infinite with this from like the free morph, but I don't think there is, and I don't know.
I think it's better. You get to draw cards. This is sneaky powerful.
I like it.
We'll see. I also like that it's another non-graveyard Sultai commander. Like this is, you could play some graveyard stuff in it, but Wizards has done a really good job of like expanding color combinations recently. That's been one of my big takeaways is, we'll talk about this probably later when we talk about Boros. We've seen it a lot with Boros, but this is another example of, we got Yarok in Sultai, which is not a graveyard commander. Now we got Kadena, also not a graveyard commander. So I really like that we're seeing these color combinations kind of move outside of themselves into new areas.
All right, pop quiz. What is the black aspect of this card? What is the green aspect of this card?
Okay, the green. Well, okay, the blue is the draw card, right?
yes. Okay, we got that one. Yes.
The green is the ramp, like the essentially the negative, the 3 less is ramp. Does that count?
Does cost reduction fall under green? But okay, I'll take that.
It does.
So where's black? Does this have menace?
I guess black has like Heartless summonings, cost reduction type effects. I don't know.
But maybe the reason it expands your Sultai commanders is it doesn't actually
not
fit as a Sultai card at all.
No, that makes sense. Okay, black is the Heartless summoning, blue is the draw card, and the green is because it's a creature.
Because it's a 4-mana 3/3.
Because it is a 3/3 creature. That's it.
They should have made it a 4-mana 8/8 and called it green. Okay, it's like fine.
I guess there is that, like, they could have added something like, I don't know, like give it a 1/1 counter or something like that. Because it also has the Simic.
Yeah.
Adapt. Oh, okay. Well, okay. You know, that's
give it Monstress.
Yeah.
Why not? Sabines, the Chronoclasm. 2 blue, red, white. So 5 CMC Jeskai, 2/2, legendary creature, human wizard. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to Sabines whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery from your graveyard each turn. Copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Meh.
How easy is it to trigger, like, to continually cast things from your sorcery, from your graveyard? So flashback,
jumpstart, Snapcaster Mage type effects, mission briefings, Torrential Gear Hulks. It is a little challenging, though. And the thing I really don't like about this commander is, unlike all the other, like, face commanders that we're going to talk about today, Gerard and Kadena and Anj, Falcon Wrath, it doesn't do anything right away. Like, all those other cards. You play Gerard, you get a Rhino. You play Kadena, you get to morph right away. You play Falcon Wrath, you get to loot. Severine, if you just, like, run it out on turn 5, you don't have mana to do anything, and you just have a 5-mana 2/2. You need mana for that, though. You even need mana, like 5 mana for that. Like, it doesn't allow you to even cast things from your graveyard. So the part I'm most excited for is just playing it with, like, pariahs and stuff, like like a Chow Mana Revolutionary that's not in mono white, and just build, like, Jeskai Voltron, but your Voltron is not actually killing people. You just can't die, and then everyone mills out eventually. Like Elixir of Immortality or something.
Or they could just, like, go around it, right? I don't know. I don't think Sabines terrible or anything like that. I guess I just I'm not really excited about it. I don't know. Maybe Sabines not that good. I'm like very iffy on the card.
Yeah, I feel all these cards need to be partnered with someone, like say a Kess or something, like.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Seems incomplete here. Like, I don't know.
And I mean, we'll see. We haven't seen much from the Jeskai deck yet, so maybe it'll make more sense as we get to see the support cards for it, but it definitely doesn't do as much on its own as some of the other commanders.
Alright, so the last of the commander face cards, we have Anj, Falcon Wrath. 1 black, red, 1/3, legendary creature, vampire. Haste, tap, discard a card, draw a card. Whenever you discard a card, if it has madness, untap Anj, Falcon Wrath.
I like the art. I think this card's really sweet. It immediately comes down and like you discard a card and then draw a card. So that I don't know. I like that you could do it immediately. Like Seth had mentioned earlier, it immediately hits the board. You get to do something with it, which is pretty relevant.
You get to rummage.
Yeah.
So you get to go off with your madness, I guess. But like, are there any good madness cards?
Probably the easiest thing to do is try to get a Falcon Wrath Gorger, I think it is, the 1-mana vampire that gives all your vampires madness, and then you can kind of go off. But just playing actual madness cards, even the good ones are not like that busted.
Wait, doesn't Olivia do something with madness?
Olivia's another discard outlet, but it doesn't specifically work with madness. But it is another way you can like discard cards and then madness them. I gotta say, I'm not really that excited about this with madness, although it is sweet that if you discard a madness card, even if you don't cast it, you get to untap it, so you can theoretically like loot away uncastable cards and just like fill your graveyard and then Living End or something, I don't know, like something along those lines. But I think this is a really sweet Reanimator commander. Like, we don't really have a cheap rummaging black-red commander, so if you want to play like the Reanimate style deck, almost like Legacy red-black Reanimator, like a really fast, consistent Entomb Reanimate, Animate Dead, it works really well with World Gorger combo, where you can discard it, and then the way World Gorger loops, you keep untapping Anj Falcon Wrath, so you get to essentially loot through your entire deck and make infinite mana and find a finisher. So I kind of, like, if I ignore the madness part of it and just think about it as a fast Reanimator commander, I really like Anj Falcon Wrath there.
That's actually pretty good. I like the idea.
Loot. I don't know. There's nothing vampire-y about this.
Vampires are madnessy though. Like, that's, I think, the biggest madness tribe. So I can kind of buy it just for that.
I wish she like pumped herself like a 1/3 vampire. Like, come on. Like, whenever you like discard a card, she should get a +1/+1 counter or something.
I like maybe like, you know, the Anj could like ping or something like that too. You discard.
Ooh, that would be good.
I would like that.
Yeah, like right now it's interesting, but yeah, now that, you know, Seth had mentioned, it is a solid way to just reanimate stuff. So maybe that's just the way you go with it, because I can't imagine there being enough cards coming from this pre-constructed deck to make Madness absurd.
Yeah, it's hard to envision that, like, unless there's something that just, like, gives all your creatures madness, then maybe, but yeah, it's hard to imagine that Madness can go from where it is now to being, like, really strong with just Commander 2019, because it's pretty low, I think, in the mechanic rankings for Commander right now. Like, even the cards that are good for, like, constructed, Fiery Tempers and cards like that, Asylum Visitors, they're not necessarily cards that are good in Commander, like Lightning Bolts and random, like, Dark Confidants, those aren't really good Commander creatures, even though they can be good in other formats.
They just need give me like a Jockalops with like 1 Madness cost.
You and your Jockalops.
they just need like a significant savings on mana here. Alright, speaking of saving on mana, we have Kirik, Son of Yawgmoth. 4 Phyrexian black, Phyrexian black, Phyrexian black. So 7 CMC, or in reality, 4 plus 6 life. 2/2, legendary creature, horror minion. Lifelink. For each black in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than that mana. Whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kirik, Son of Yawgmoth.
That means there's a party with Villas, right? Like
it's
yes.
build your own Griselbrand, basically.
a two card Griselbrand.
I still, like, when I first saw this card, I kind of didn't believe it was real. Like, I knew it was because it was official, but Wizards just is not learned the free spell lesson yet. They just keep printing more broken free stuff. And to me, this looks like the most potentially busted card that we've seen so far out of Commander 2019. Like, it seems so easy for this to just generate 10 mana a turn. It has lifelink, so you gain a life back. Plus you're in black, so you can gain life back with like Exsanguinates and Grey Merchant of Asphodels. Like, is this just like incredibly broken, or am I off base on this?
So if you have a Jet Medallion, so you can't pay like generic costs, right? You can only pay the colored mana.
Yeah.
So if you have Jet Medallion, that helps. You can play your rituals for free. So like the Dark Rituals, Cabal Rituals, or whatever. But yeah, you can play a lot of cards. Now you are limited by life, but just put a boots on this thing and then hit someone after you've cast all your spells, and you probably made Phyrexian mana even more broken, right? Because each spell you cast is 1 counter on Kirik, which is 1 life back if you hit someone. So if you play a black spell, it's actually only 1 life if you actually manage to connect with Kirik. So,
and
I don't know,
like,
this seems
Aetherflux
scary.
Reservoir and so forth, like other ways that you can continually gain back that life. People have already come up with some like Doomsday piles where if you have Kirik and resolve Doomsday, you should be able to just win the game from there. So I think that this card's really strong. What do you think, Grim?
I think the card is really, really strong, but I think that as soon as you play this, the whole table needs to work on killing it immediately. I don't think the controller can ever untap with it. That's if you even get to that point. And, I don't know. I think the card is absurd. So
I wonder if this one could have a shot in Legacy.
it's 4 mana. So
That is a lot.
yeah.
It's slow, and I don't know. Like, what are the spells in Legacy? They only take black mana?
It seems like you could storm off. You have like Tendrils, you have Dark Rituals and Cabal Rituals. Like, maybe you can just like play this and immediately storm kill, but maybe you can just storm kill without this. And you don't
you
really
needed
need
all
it.
those cards anyway to storm kill. It's interesting. I'm surprised they did this. It's like if they printed a card that says like all your cards have delve, and you're like, huh? Like,
just-
why do all the cards have Phyrexian mana now?
I think it's especially surprising because I don't even think Phyrexian mana is like that popular of a mechanic. It seems like a relatively unpopular and widely disliked mechanic. So if you're going to choose a mechanic to do this with, Phyrexian mana is just like an awkward choice, but it does make for a really powerful commander.
Is this the first legendary minion?
Ooh. Oh, I think there's some old ones. Like the dwarf minion thing.
Oh wait, Braids is a legendary minion.
Yeah.
Braids
There's
is
one that like
banned.
reanimates all your red and black spells.
Xancha,
I think.
Phage, Chainer.
So there's a few.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting before we move on, it works for any mana cost. So you can use this to pay activated costs, cumulative upkeep, whatever. You can use Chainer Dementia Master, costs 3 black mana. You can pay 6 life instead. So it's not just casting your spells, but black mana abilities on the battlefield too.
All right. Next, we have Gerard, Weatherlight Hero, 2 red and white. Legendary creature, human soldier, 3/3, first strike. When Gerard dies, exile it and return to the battlefield all artifacts and creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn.
This was a card I was talking about earlier that I feel Wizards has done a really good job expanding on Boros's part of the commander color pie. Like, this is like a Boros control or Boros aristocrat style commander, when traditionally we just had all these boring aggro Boros commanders, but then we got like Feather, we also got Firesong and Sunspeaker, now Gerard, so we're getting like some more unique ways to build around Boros cards in Commander.
What? I was just gonna make some aggro things hit you and then play Gerard so you can't wrath my board.
So you're still aggro. Nice.
Actually,
And then if you somehow deal with that, that'll Defarious Protection. It's all good.
I actually think this card has potential to be incredibly broken. We've seen like Second Sunrise be banned in Modern. We've seen Faith Reward be a combo piece. It feels to me like you can just play a bunch of creatures, play like Ashnod's Altar or Phyrexian Altar, sacrifice all your creatures for some sort of value, sacrifice Gerard, get back all your creatures, use the mana from sacking all your creatures to recast Gerard, do it again, do it again, do it again. So I imagine that would be a popular way to play this, is like a infinite loop, essentially, commander. Throw in like a Perforos or some sort of way to damage your opponent as you're going through that loop, and it seems like a pretty easy way to win the game.
Perforos. Yeah. That's pretty gross.
Boros, King of Eggs now. Yeah, eggs. Oh, you could boom pile basically infinitely if you win coin flips, right?
Yeah, or just like a Chroma's Vengeance, Wrath of God. Like, you can be the Boros control deck that just like turns all those cards into Plague Winds, essentially, since you get all your stuff back, and maybe get some Enter the Battlefield triggers along the way.
So guaranteed, when we play this on Commander Clash, someone's just going to exile the commander, and that'll be that.
That
seems likely, especially on Magic Online. That seems like an easy and brutal mistake to make.
Yeah.
It's going to be me.
We're going to spend 5 minutes making sure we have the settings right, and then it won't work anyway.
Or maybe they just won't put it on Magic Online. You never know with Commander cards.
All right. Let's move to some of the support cards we have. So let's go back to Vampires. Anjay's Ravager, 2 in a red, 3/3, Vampire Berserker. It's a rare. Anjay's Ravager attacks each combat if able. When Anjay's Ravager attacks, discard your hand, draw 3 cards. Madness, 1 in a red.
Would probably be sweet if it was legal in Modern.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd play this in a
Modern
Commander
needs
deck,
this.
but
I don't think Modern needs this. It's going to get more broken.
I don't know. 3 mana, 3/3.
It's a 2 mana 3/3.
2 mana, 3/3 that chump attacks into Hogak. I don't know.
Or is paired with Hogak. It just needs to attack once, right?
Would you put this in your Commander deck, though? Like, is this a Commander playable? It seems small. It seems like most of the Commander decks I see people play, like, want to have a bunch of cards in their hands. So discarding 7 cards to draw 3 isn't necessarily great. Maybe if you're playing like Zurgo Bell Striker or whatever, where you're like just all in aggro and emptying your hand, but is this really Commander playable?
I mean, you're in black and red, you have Hellbent cards, so, after a certain point, maybe you need to get back in the game with more cards,
yeah.
So attacking, discarding my hand, which, like I have no cards, or maybe 1 card and it's useless, then I get 3 new cards. It's not the worst, actually, and like, if we're going black-red madness anyways, and it's vampires, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think red is the color you want to be discarding your hand. So if you're Hellbent, then it's just Ancestral Recall, which is great. But even if you have to discard, say, 3 cards or 4 cards, you could just Wheel of Fortune afterwards. If you, like, this is the right color for that. So I actually feel like this is pretty good. And this is actually a rare source of just like sheer card advantage in the right scenario for red. So I would actually play this in like a vampire deck. I don't know if I would just put it in a generic red deck, but like a madness deck or a vampire deck, it seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably good in that style of deck, I guess. I don't think I like it in general as just like a red staple, but you're probably right. If it's like vampires or madness, it's probably good there.
Like, what if you discard Unburial Rites and, I don't know, some scary 10-drop by discarding your hand? Like, yeah?
Oh, and there's like Felden of the Third Path. There are some like red graveyard-y commanders where maybe you turn the discard into an upside, like even apart from madness. So maybe that's like another home, or what's the red planeswalker, the artifact one that wants stuff in the graveyard? Decks like that, like
Derevi?
red-based deck. Yeah, Derevi. Like cards like that, decks like that, it might have a home in.
Alright, next up, Kadena Silencer. 1 in a blue, 2/1, Naga Wizard. When Kadena Silencer is turned face up, counter all abilities your opponents control. Megamorph, 1 in a blue.
Okay, I mean, I liked Megamorph. But
Megamorphin time?
Yeah, I think I liked it for the meme value more than, and like, I also liked Morph. And this card is sweet. I like this. It's a silent, or a stifle. I'm huge on that. I think this card's pretty sweet. I mean, it's even better, because when it's turned face up, counter all abilities your opponents control. I don't know when that's gonna ever matter, but,
in case they activate an ability and hold priority and activate 10 more to run into your Kadena Silencer.
yeah. Or even better, in response, right? Or something like that, sure.
Yeah, in response to you.
So, my question for both of you is, kind of like Ravager, is this something you would play outside of a morph deck? Like, morphs will play it because morphs are kind of starved for any good morph cards, based on what I've seen from various Tomer morph decks. Like, you gotta play some bad morphs to actually have a deck full of morph cards. So I'm sure it'll have a home there. Does it have a home outside of morph?
Well, if it's not in a morph deck, you can probably be like, well, I probably know what that is.
Yeah, Sultai Nagas. The problem with morphs is you need to have more than one, otherwise everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I guess it's a wizard, and you have like Willbender, you have Voidmaid Prodigy, so maybe like it could work in a wizard deck that has multiple like tricky morphs kind of built into it.
In my wizard deck, though, I don't think I was ever casting it for its morph. I just played it face up.
Yeah, that kind of defeats the the value of Kadena Silencer a little bit.
Yeah, if because then at this point, if I morph anything from my wizard deck, you know it's one of like 3 wizards, and they all need to be killed. Except for maybe not the other one that pretty much force spikes.
Alright, Sabines Reclamation, 2 and a white, sorcery. Return target permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the spell was cast from a graveyard, you may copy the spell and may choose a new target for that copy. Flashback, 4 and a white.
I think this card's sweet.
So Sun Titan right here.
But you get to flashback.
With flashback, and when you flash it back, you get 2 things.
I'm actually kind of mad on this card. Like, I think in Commander, for me, the value of Sun Titan is you get the 6/6 body. Like, so how many converted mana cost 3 or less things are you going to have in your deck that you want to reanimate? Like, if you're just getting back a fetch land, like with Sun Titan, that's fine. Are you going to play Sabines Reclamation just for that? I don't know. I'm kind of
What do you think about like Eternal Witness? Except it has to be a CMC 3 permanent.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Except
I
it's
guess
3
that's fine.
Eternal. It's like a Green Warden, but smaller and no body.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay, but I'm not especially excited for it.
It pairs well with Sabine. Whoa.
Think of all the things you get
So
back.
if you flash it back, you get 4 things? Is that what happens?
I guess.
If you
your first insert from graveyard.
so I said that in the YouTube comment video when I was doing the spoiler video, and people said it would actually be 3, that the copy isn't flashed back or cast from your graveyard since it's a copy. So I think it would be 3 things if you had Sabine out.
Well, that's very confusing.
Great. 5 mana, get 3 things back? Sure.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure there's a home for it, but would you just slam this in a random white deck, or do you got to build around it?
I think you definitely got to build around.
It depends what is in your white deck, but you can get your mana rocks back. You can get like your O-rings.
Strip mine.
Strip mine.
I like that.
You could discard your entire hand to Anjay's Ravager and then return some stuff.
Then you can get back the Ravager after it chump attacks because it has to attack every turn. It's a 3/3 and you just keep doing it.
All right, we have Gerard's Belligerence. 1 red sorcery. Gerard's Belligerence deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Whenever a creature dealt damage this way dies, populate. This is pretty good, no?
I think
kill 5 things, populate 5.
I think the ceiling is very high. Like, it seems like in the right scenario, this can be like a game-ending finisher if you have a bunch of mana and a good token around. But then, like, the floor is kind of meh on it. So I think it's good, but I don't know if it's great.
Yeah. This card just seems alright to me so far.
I do like that you can potentially, like, kill your own, like, if you play, I don't know, Increasing Devotion, or, like, Spectral Procession or something, and make a bunch of small tokens of your own, you can use this just as, like, a combo piece to, like, kill a bunch of your own tokens to populate a big token. Like, that seems kind of cool to me.
But are you really winning anything if you kill your Lingering Souls tokens or whatever with... I feel like this is more... No, this doesn't work. I was like, what if you just like ping 5 things and then like Blasphemous Act? But then your token's probably gonna die.
Yeah.
But like something like that. Or even if you just kill like 2 things and double populate, isn't that worth it?
I guess, yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I mean, I guess that's the other way to play it, is just like make a bunch of mana and cast it and kill as much stuff as you can. And even if you populate a couple of times and kill a couple of things, that's still like a 4-for-1 or something. That's not bad.
I want it to hit face. Why does it not hit the opponent?
Whenever a player dies, populate 10. Yeah.
I mean, if a player died this turn.
Yeah. I'm surprised we don't have a card like that. We don't have anything about players dying this turn.
Oh, we have that curse, don't we? Isn't there the 1-mana black curse that you curse and when they die you get a whole bunch of sweet stuff? I don't remember what, but...
Yeah.
We don't have many of those cards.
Alright, we have a land, a rare land. Sanctum of Eternity. Tap for a colorless. Pay 2, tap. Return target commander you own from the battlefield to your hand. Activate this ability only during your turn.
Zakama.
What?
I think when I first saw this card, I was like, I don't know what you do with this. You can't save your commander because you can only do it on your own turn. Then someone pointed out that it just like goes super ultra infinite with Zakama, since you can like cast Zakama, untap all your lands, use this to bounce Zakama, cast it again. As long as you have enough mana, you just like make infinite mana and kill the board with Zakama and blow up all the artifacts and enchantments and gain infinite life. So it's like a pretty easy 2-card combo in a Zakama deck in specific.
How about Omnath? I played Omnath. What was it? Locust of Royal? The new one. And I played Erratic Portal in my deck just to bounce my own commander. Now I can have it on the land.
I think that makes sense too. Or like Maelstrom Wanderer, even like probably great in Ulamog, like colorless Eldrazi decks where you can reuse the cast trigger and you already want a bunch of colorless lands. So I think it's like probably not going to beat out other colorless lands in most decks, but for specific commanders, Zakama, the Omnath, things that have good enter the battlefield triggers, I could definitely see playing this.
It also saves your commander that's like imprisoned in the moon or stolen from you. If they like control magic your commander, you can actually get it back.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. I don't know. Depends how many colorless land slots you have in your deck, but it seems like one of those utility cards that you always cut, and then like you really need it, and you're like, I shouldn't have cut this card.
Yeah, like that hexproof land. I'm always like right on the cusp of playing that, but I don't think I've ever actually put it in a deck. It's always like the 1 or 2 lands out of making it.
All right, this is my favorite card in the set so far. A lowly common, Scare Tiller, 4 mana 1/4 artifact creature Scarecrow. When it becomes tapped, choose one. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
So why is this your favorite card, Richard?
Is it solemn?
It is sort of solemn-ish.
You get to ramp in any color, either from your hand or from the graveyard.
I thought you were going to say Scarecrow Tribal. I'm a little disappointed now.
No, we don't have enough
Finally, the
Scarecrows
piece
yet.
for Scarecrow Tribal.
It's a 4-mana 1/4, but I feel like it's almost solemn. It's like almost one of those cards you put in every deck. Because why not?
Like, do you think you need to be able to tap it without attacking for it to work? Or do you just trust that you can get in at someone?
I mean, there's 3 people. It's a 1/4. I think you could get in. No?
I don't know. Is it a high priority on the board? If it's the only thing on board, maybe that's kind of a reason to kill it, but I don't think it's a high priority thing, right?
But if you're going to attack me, I'm going to block it if I have
Yeah.
a creature. Like,
If
I'm not going to be
everyone
like,
has,
oh,
siege
sure,
rhinos,
go
this is
ahead.
not-
I guess like if there's lands in your graveyard, that works, but like sometimes there's just a point where, you know, cause you're at 4 mana at this point, any more lands that are in your hand, that means what? Like you've got maybe 1 to 2 cards left in hand unless you've drawn a billion cards.
I like to call that the Abrial Grazer problem.
Yep.
I think that's my favorite thing about playing against Shapeshift in Standard is when they've run out their Abrial Grazer and don't put a land into play. You're just like, ha, nice 0-3.
With reach, by the way.
I mean, I think it's really good with fetch lands. We have Evolving Wilds, we have literal fetch lands, we have the Mirage fetch lands. If you can have those, it is kind of a combo. And if you want to, you can play like Glare of the Subdual, Opposition, ways to like just keep tapping this every turn without attacking. And then it's an insane source of ramp. You just like get back your fetch, crack your fetch in the graveyard, next turn, tap it again, do it again. It's also pretty cute with Maze of Ith. You can like attack to get back your land and then maze it so it won't die and just keep doing that.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's move on to some of the cards that were revealed today. So we have Volrath, the Shapeshifter, 2 black, green, and a blue, a 7/5, a legendary creature, Shapeshifter. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. Pay 1 generic until your next turn. Volrath becomes a copy of target creature with a counter on it, except it's a 7/5 and has this ability.
I love this card. I also love Volrath, so I think Volrath was a cool card, and it's nice to see Volrath come back. So
Reminds me of the Dimir guy that does this from the graveyard.
Ooh, Lazov, I think it was the original
Yeah.
Lazov, maybe.
Yeah, 7/5.
I mean, it's got
Almost Yargle.
It's got big stats. I'm trying to imagine, like, what do you play with this, though? Do you play, like, some sort of, like, clone tribal? Copy stuff tribal? I guess, like, some sort of proliferate, put -1/-1 counters on everything style deck? Like, how do you build around this card, I think is my biggest question. I think it's really cool, but I'm not really sure the best way to build around it yet.
I mean, you could also just copy like a creature, like the thingy that manifests at the end of the turn, the elemental. I forgot. Whisperwood elemental.
Oh, Whisperwood, yeah.
Like I was thinking more so just to copy things to get more ways to morph, and manifest and stuff like that. So
it's also cool that it's just a counter, so it doesn't have to be a -1/-1 counter. So if you put a +1/+1 counter on all your team, or you can like bounty hunter to put a bounty counter on stuff, and like that also turns on the copy ability.
Combos with Yawgmoth.
Yeah, Yawgmoth, Hapatra, Volrath. That sounds pretty fun.
It's a Simic. You can evolve. You can
There's like
proliferate.
Experimental Kraj. There's a lot of +1/+1 counter synergies in the Simic area. Oh, okay, maybe this is pretty fun. It seems like you probably build a really fun deck around it. And another non-graveyard Sultai commander.
Yeah, all you need to do is just copy an infect creature with double strike, and then copy Invisible Stalker. You're good. It's like Lazov, except you have to have all the creatures on the battlefield and give them counters first.
But how do you get a -1/-1 counter on Invisible Stalker?
You don't know. It's any counter. You get a +1/+1 counter.
Okay. That makes more sense.
wait,
And then you give Lazov like infect, and he gives -1/-1 counters naturally.
wait, hold on. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature. How are you putting wait, where are you guys getting this +1/+1 counter?
Well, you could put it on it with something else. Like, you'd have to
Yeah.
use another card, not Volrath.
You use like one of those 1 mana cards that give a +1/+1 counter. There's gotta be other, like, what if, no, like brick counters? No, that's like an artifact.
Spore counters. This could be your Sultai, Sultai spore counter commander.
Ooh. And then Volrath himself can get, like, spore counters because he's a fungus now.
And then you can, like, remove 3 of them and gain a life. Make a 1/1.
We need Return to Fallen Empires right now. They need to fix this. They need to make, like, super Thalids and stuff. Alright, next up we have Yami, First of the Fallen. 1 black, green, blue, 5/4, legendary creature, vampire. If a non-token creature would die, exile that card with a blood counter on it instead. As long as an exiled creature card with a blood counter on it has flying, Yami has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance.
Card's sweet. I think it's probably kind of tricky to build around, but it's like a Soul Flayer commander, which is just, it's a really cool, like, build around. The challenge is, how do you build around it?
I mean,
you have to, like, play things with abilities and then kill them to get them into exile.
No,
and then
you
it
kill
has,
your
like,
opponent's things.
yeah, but what if they are playing, like, vanilla creatures?
I mean, you could, wait, if you have Yami and then you wrath the board, do you get all the blood counters? You do, right?
You should get all the blood counters. So that is the nice part about it. So then the next time you recast it, all those cards will still have the blood counters for the future.
that's pretty sweet. I mean, yeah, I don't know how you build around it other than just like board wipes and just like make sure you like get it back.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, it is kind of like graveyard hate too, which is pretty relevant. Like, it's beneficial because you're getting a blood counter, but it does shut down some shenanigans just by, like, keeping creatures from going in and out of the graveyard.
How do you get infect on him? He doesn't get infect. It's only the evergreen keywords.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. No infect's probably a good thing, though. Also, it's weird it's a green vampire. I don't think we've ever had in Magic's history a green vampire.
Seems
What part
like
of this
a challenge
is
for mono green vampires?
What part of this is green?
What part of it is any of the colors? Okay, I get black. I understand black. I guess blue is the copying of everything.
And then green
It's because it's a 4-mana 5/4.
Yeah, okay. It's a creature.
You're a vampire.
Yeah, we're gonna do that argument again. It's the same thing. It's a creature. It's 5/4.
All right. Next up, we have Gift of Doom, 4 and a black, enchantment aura, enchanted creature has Death Touch and Indestructible. Morph, sacrifice another creature. You may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature, pay 3 to morph it up. As Gift of Doom is turned face up, you may attach it to a creature.
Wait, hold on. So you may hit. Okay, you sack a
So it's
creature
an aura, right? But you can
flip.
morph it, and then if it's already an aura, you can sack a creature to like remorph it.
That's really cool.
Wait, no. I don't think that's what that does. Is it?
I don't think it. I'm reading it as to unmorph it.
Yeah.
You sack a creature.
I think
No,
you play
no.
it. I think you play it face down.
Right.
If you want to, and then when you want to flip it up, you sacrifice a creature, flip it up, and then you get to put it on something.
Correct.
Oh yes, you're right. Oh, this is not fun at all.
I mean, it's kind of
It's still sweet.
cool. Yeah, it's a really unique and weird card, but it's definitely
But you gotta sack a creature.
To unmorph it.
It's black
Yeah.
though. You have like Blood Artists and Graveyard Synergy. Sacking a creature, that's not the end of the world in a black deck.
It's probably a benefit. To be honest with you, I feel like I could sack something that I want to like morph again if I can bring it back.
Yeah, or like sack a Mind Slicer.
Yeah.
Just to make everyone love you.
Yeah, exactly.
What is this art? Is it like a giant hand, like thought seizing someone?
Like poking, like this person's
Just
like
like
temple.
poking someone on the head and be like, huh, you have Death Touch and Indestructible.
Yeah, maybe that is the Death Touch. The hand is death touching the little head. I don't know. The art's weird.
Alright. Next up, Pendant of Prosperity. 3 mana, 3 generic mana. It's an artifact. It enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. Pay 2, tap, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand on the battlefield. Pendant of Prosperity's owner draws a card. Then that player may put a land card from their hand onto the battlefield.
Pick a buddy.
Yeah, this is like the ultimate me and Tomer card because we both love drawing cards so much that if either one of us gives it to each other, you know the other person's going to activate it every turn. So it seems like there's some ways to get value out of it if you choose the right person.
What if you take it back? with like, what is the land? The land that gives you back all your permanents.
Oh, Homeward Path.
Isn't that only
Homeward
creatures?
Path, and then it's your own personal draw a card, put a land down. You could Zedru. You get extra cards now for fun because you donated this thing.
Yeah. I mean, draw a card plus ramp is pretty good for 2 mana. Like, It seems powerful once it's on the battlefield. I guess the question is just going to be like, does your opponent activate it? But I assume that drawing a card and putting it on the battlefield is enough of a payoff that the person who has it is probably going to want to do it.
The problem is, like, once you're ahead, people won't activate anymore, right? Because your opponent gets to control this as well. So if you desperately need cards, they may not want to give them to you.
Richard, like, say you give this to me. Do you ever think a turn would go by where I would not activate this? Like, think about what I do to draw a card in Commander. Just give it to me and we'll both be happy, I promise.
But what if you're winning already and we're trying to dig for answers against your board? Are you really going to activate it?
Probably. I'll know that I shouldn't, but I probably still will.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all the spoilers we want to talk about. There's a couple more rares we didn't get to. And then today, they're going to release the full deck list for the Morph cards.
I'm so excited.
And every day, they're going to release all the cards for the decks. Today's Morph Day, and we'll see what comes tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then, that means next week when we podcast, we should have the whole thing, all the deck lists, all the cards, so tons of more Commander stuff to come still.
So what's the sweetest colors that you've seen from the cards today?
Sultai. Salt. I mean, I'm just also excited. Like, there's the new Ixodron art, which is really cool. And like, Scroll of Fate is such a sweet card because now you can manifest a card from your hand. These are just things that I'm really excited for.
New Vesuvian Shapeshifter art is pretty sweet too. So we got some sweet new art. We got some sweet new cards. I think it's really, I guess I would have to go with Sultai too, but it's because it's Sultai Day and we haven't seen enough cards from the other decks. Although I really think Anj Falcon Wrath might be the commander I'm most excited for that we've seen so far. I guess outside of Carrick, which I just think is absolutely absurd.
I'm most excited for Gerard. These rhinos, they're going to be fearsome. I would take the Gerard over like 3 of these Sultai legendaries.
I mean, it is nice to like constantly make rhinos, but I think it's the populate also that's gonna be probably gonna be the biggest reason for Gerard.
Okay, so first what you need to do is get like a Merit Lodge, okay? And then you put a Helm of the Host on it, okay? And then you populate.
There it is. Instead, what? But I would just put it on Gerard.
Wait, no, you use like Duretti or something to make a copy of Helm of the Host. And then you populate the Helm of the Host too.
Populate
this is the deck. I'm writing notes. Don't steal my deck idea, guys. Patented.
But before we get to Fishmail, I gotta say, Scroll of Fate, I think that card's busted. We didn't talk about it. It's just 3 mana, tap, manifest a card from your hand.
Wait, I skipped it because I didn't think it was that good. Okay, why is it good? Tell me. Like, give me the combo.
I mean, well, of course, just like manifesting is fine, but you can just be like, tap it, put a Omniscience into play face down and like Cloud Shift or Ghostly Flicker or whatever huge ridiculous I win the game card.
Easily blink it.
Yeah, so it seems like an easy way to like blink combo by putting something ridiculous into play.
Yeah, I'm also gonna put this in like my Amanatu deck on top of my Sultai deck.
And I just like manifesting every turn, especially if you have Kadena going or something and you're drawing a card. Like, it's kind of just sweet on its own, but if you build around it, it's I think legitimately scary.
Yeah. That's one of those artifacts that I'm definitely not gonna let sit around. Doesn't matter how far behind you are, how far ahead you are. I'm gonna just kill it every time I see it.
All right, let's move on to Fishmail. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air. First question: a slice of limey, slice of lime. Don't worry about it. Yo, bring back Collective Voyage already. What's the person got to do to get the ball rolling on this? I'll even play if you want to volunteer.
Ooh, Ping Tomer.
Yeah, I thought Tom was putting together a campaign, but it kind of just like fell aside. So yeah, maybe we should do another Collective Voyage. The Chad USMC. What are your thoughts on the recent changes for the judge community?
Oh boy.
So we haven't talked about Judge Academy. There's a big hoopla on it. I don't really understand it because I'm not a judge. But Krim is a judge.
Whoa.
Lapsed judge.
Hold on. I was a judge a long time ago.
Well, do you want to become a judge again, given the recent Judge Academy announcements?
I mean, I read into some of it and I'm not really sure. It is a little weird that I have to pay to become a judge. Cause it's like, I'm paying to go do this event. And you know, like it's not like it's paying me a lot or doing anything like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm a little bit all over on it. I'm not too sure how I feel about it. I've seen some people very upset about it. And I've also seen some people their counter arguments on it and like why it's good for the judging community. So I don't stand on any side specifically.
Yeah, I've mostly tried to stay out of it because I don't feel like I understand all the aspects of it enough to really chime in fully. So
yeah.
I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, same. Not a judge, but I do find it weird that you have to pay. Because I always understood judging as something you did of your goodwill. Like you were severely underpaid. It was a lot of work. So now, for that privilege, you have to pay for it. Seems weird, but I don't really understand the nuances or really anything about being a judge, aside from what Krim has told me. Our representative level 1 judge.
Yeah, seriously. Does this work? I don't know. I think so.
Big Sky 21. I know this may sound controversial. However, I think Hogak is fair magic. Please explain why it isn't.
I don't know if that's like, okay, well, on turn 2.
Okay, wait. Why? How can it be fair? It's fair because it's a creature that attacks, right? It's not fair because it's a 0 mana 8/8
that you easily get all the time. Like, oh, I filmed a video for Modern Mayhem, and I think I consistently got dunked on turn 2 by a Hogak, and it's a little hard to beat when you don't play Path to Exile. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay, but where do we draw the line at fair? Okay, is Tarmogoyf a fair card? Say
Yes.
a 2 mana 4/5.
Yes.
Okay, what if it was a 2 mana 8/8 that you had to cast from your hand and vanilla?
A 2 mana 8/8 you can cast from your hand, and it's vanilla.
Yeah, like it was just literally like 2 mana 8/8. That's it. It's like a grizzly bear, but it's +6/+6.
Doesn't have trample or anything like it does
No.
now. Okay,
Is that still fair?
I don't know. I mean,
Because at some point, just being big and beefy makes you unfair, right?
but the thing here is the fact that you could if it were vanilla, it's obviously a little bit better because the fact that your whole deck is about milling the top of your deck and dredge and all that stuff, so you could always get an easy 8/8 that also has trample. Obviously, makes it broken, right?
Yeah.
But
I think you're cheating mana cost, and then the fact that you can cast it from your graveyard
yeah,
makes it unfair.
correct.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just the amount of power it puts on the battlefield so quickly. Like, it just enables such fast starts that I don't even think there's any other deck in the format that can do that as consistently. Just like turn to 14 power, 16 power, and do that like regularly. So I think that it's more like the deck than Hogak in specific, but Hogak is a reason the deck can do that so consistently.
Alright, I'm gonna put Hogak in Jund and see what happens.
Just fair
We'll
magic.
see if it's fair.
I mean, if
We
you
don't
build
play
around
Dark
it, it could
Confidant
work.
anymore, it's fine.
Oh, if you flip that off Bob, oh, that feels
People,
so bad.
okay, let me tell you, people used to play with Tombstalker.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So people took that gamble before, and you know what? I used to play Mardu with Emrakul in my deck and Bob. Never died to it.
But when you do, it's gonna feel bad.
I mean, one day you're gonna flip the Emrakul, and then you're gonna be like, well, that's sad face, but that's like the same as like the turn you're gonna ultimate Nahiri, and you draw your Emrakul, and you're like, come on, deck. Right?
Are you like constantly stressed every Dark Confidant trigger, being like, "Oh, this is going to be the
Today's
time."
the day.
I'm stressed with Liliana being the top of my curve, Seth. Every life point matters, okay? Spud 9001. I remember Saffron Olive and Richard playing Jund with Bloodbraid versus Jace the Mind Sculptor before both got unbanned. Maybe we can get something like that again. Maybe Stoneblade Control versus Twin.
Yeah?
Remember when we were like, unleash Modern, we'll play Bloodbraid and Jace the Mind Sculptor. And we thought it was so broken.
Yeah, the good old days of like a year ago.
What are those cards again?
Desi Nohe, is it just me or the new Jund build feels a bit slow and clunky? Multiple Ren and 6 in hand is awful. Do you think that Abzan is better BGX deck because of Path to Exile, Celestial Purge, Gadok T, Kaya's Exile, Kataki, and other white hosers?
I think Ren and 6 is way too good to not have.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning the same way.
So here's my controversial thing. I don't like Ren and 6. Like, Ren and 6 is good, but it's not so good that it's like, I don't know, $90 and everyone's playing 4 of. Like, a lot of times it does absolutely nothing for you, and I'd rather have a Bob, but we can't play Bob anymore because everyone is playing Ren and 6.
Yeah. Like,
it's like its own meta thing, right? Like, if no one was playing Ren and 6, I would play Bob over Ren and 6. But because everyone's playing Ren and 6, I can't play Bob anymore. So I have to have this Ren and 6, which, like, against Tron, I'm like, okay, I'll draw an extra land. And then they Karn me. I'm like, okay.
I mean,
it's only good against the decks that Jund is already good against. Like, if you play humans or merfolk or something, yeah, I can ping you down with Ren and 6, but I'm already good against those decks. It doesn't help me against the decks I'm bad against.
Do you think Ren and 6 is actually pushing 1 toughness creatures out of the format? Like, is that a concern?
it is a thing on people's maps. Like when you're playing
but
like an X1 heavy deck.
like Last Hope used to do the same thing before Ren and 6 came out. Like if I am on the play and you play a Noble Hierarch, then haha, right? GG.
Yeah.
So,
and this comes out a whole
happens,
turn
right?
sooner.
It's probably one of the reasons why humans sucked at the Pro Tour. It's because of all the Ren and 6s like pinging off all their Thalias and things like that.
I also really do, I don't know, the ability to get back to fetch land and continuously, hashtag deck thinning, to actually just get, to get lands from your deck, and also being able to get you the canopy lands or the horizon lands and just draw off that. I think that's really sweet.
Yeah, but you need to get the combo. If you get the combo going, you're good, right? If you get the canopy land in Ren and 6, but it's a pretty slow combo.
But it's still
the thing like Ren and 6 is against control, where you have a 2-drop and then you can threaten ultimate to do something.
Yeah.
But
it's still a 2
like
mana
Hogak, I'm like, what is this Ren and 6 doing? Nothing, right? I'd rather have a Bob, right? Tron, like Ren and 6 does absolutely nothing again.
I don't know.
So-
I mean,
Can you play Ghost Quarters or Field of Ruins? Like that would make Ren and 6 way more exciting against Tron, probably.
yeah.
If you can Ghost Quarter every turn, that probably just beats Tron.
But
Would you rather
think
have
it's
a
fulminated.
Horizon Land or a Ghost Quarter?
Horizon land?
Yeah, I guess. How about both?
Yeah.
Just play Gruel's Jund. Forget the Thoughtseize, right? Just
But yeah, I think the value of just like Ren and 6 is just too good to like pass up on, and especially when all you want to do, like what Jund does, is the value game, right? And then we're like get you in a top deck mode, and then
they're just lands.
they're
And the lands don't
just
do anything
lands.
because Raging Ravine is a bad card.
I mean, that might be
Field of
true.
Ruin really ruined Raging Ravine.
I mean, yes, Raging Ravine, it may not be what it once was, but I like you have a 2-mana planeswalker that pings for 1. That's just so good.
But what if they're playing 8/8s with Trample?
You just don't play it. You just don't run into it. It's simple. You dodge it.
You have 4 more dead cards in your main deck against them.
I mean, yes, but you can pick off Bloodcast and Stitch or something.
Oh yes, this is what I want to be doing. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Red and 6 is really like elf decks, human decks. All those decks really hurt because of Red and 6. And I can't play Bob. I'm very sad. Bob has been bad for so long. This is outrageous.
Hasn't changed a thing for me. I play a deck loaded with X1s right now. I'm
Snapcaster Mage.
well, it's in there, but I'm playing Saltine Fairies and Ninjas, and it's like yes, that is a Red and 6, but if I just ninjutsu one time, I no longer have an X1.
All right, next question. Jordan K. Young. Krim, love you on Commander Clash, but please run more lands. with Horizon lands, Cryptic Caves, Cycling lands, utility lands like Scavenger Grounds and Strip Mine. I'm running 40 plus ramp in casual high CMC Commander. Karsten math, 40 equals 24 in a 60 card deck.
I mean, like,
how many lands do you run?
Okay, so like I run like anywhere, depends on like what kind of deck it is. If it's like my Adelies deck, right, where it tops out at like 2 mana, like 2 to 3 mana, then like I'll probably play like 32 lands. Cause legitimately, if all I'm trying to do is just play a bunch.
I don't feel bad for you when you don't draw your lands anymore.
That's if I play like the low curve decks where I'm just playing a bunch of like preordains, ops and stuff like that, right? Just cantrips. But if I'm playing something that's, like playing big old beefy creatures and stuff, I play like 38 or something.
I just play 37 every deck.
Yeah.
It makes it nice and simple. Like, that doesn't, if a land doesn't count for tap for mana, like Mazavith, then I don't usually count it as a land, but I usually have 37 mana producing lands, and I just do that and don't think about it.
Yeah, we play a lot of lands. So when there are viewer submitted decks, people really skimp on the lands. Part of it is they're running Soul Ring and like
Same.
Mana Vault, Mana Crypt.
Same.
Things like that let you cut back on lands, but I still feel most people play too little lands. And especially since we have the cycling lands and the scry lands and things like that kind of give you a little advantage. You should probably play more lands.
Yeah, I mean,
you should play more lands and then deck thin.
I honestly do play I build my decks with, like Soul Ring and all that stuff in mind. So, I do have to, on the decks where like I'm not playing them because, like we have that soft ban list, I just add more lands in their place. So normally my 38 land deck would probably be 35, 34 lands.
All right. Last question. 11 Vicious. If Hogak doesn't get banned, would unbanning Deathrite Shaman bring balance to the meta? Or would the fair decks just dominate to that point? Krim, you should give Esper ad nauseum with 3 fairies, scheming symmetry, and miracles a try. The spice is real.
You know what's funny? I actually played against a miracles deck, an Esper miracles deck, using scheming symmetries, counterbalances, and stuff like that. And it's a cool deck, and I do like the idea of scheming symmetry with. But I don't know. I'm not an ad nauseum kind of person. I don't really like things that win the game immediately. I know. That sounds ridiculous, but like, yeah, I don't like winning the game immediately. I like sitting there and playing the slowest game possible. Like, if we could sit there and grind out more games of, like, one game of Magic, like, that's great. That's great.
Krim's ideal win is the 1-0 victory.
Yeah, no. It legitimately is. I've noticed that like every game I move to, like every game I play, what is the way I could win, but in the slowest way possible? And like make it so that you just completely remove the opponent's will to continue playing the game.
I think back to the
that isn't Nexus.
question. I think Hogak's going to get banned, so we don't have to worry about it. And I think Deathrite is just too good. Like, would it help against Hogak? I don't actually know that it would, honestly, because you play it on 1, can't activate it until turn 2. That's too slow if you're on the draw. So I don't know if it would save things, and it's just too good of a card, like, in a vacuum. It's just too pushed.
I think it would just make it a 2-deck format almost, right? Like the Deathrite deck or the Hogak deck, right?
Yeah. It probably would. And Jund is already good. Could you imagine Jund with Deathrite?
First of all, you can't, there's anti-synergy between Red and 6 and Deathrite, right? Like, if you use your land for mana, then you can't grab it with Red and 6. Ironically, this 1/2 body survives Red and 6, so you can't even ping out Deathrite. I don't know. I mean, so Deathrite won't help against Hogak. Would it break the format? Probably.
Yeah, it just hates out the decks that don't need to be hated out even more.
Oh, okay, yeah. Jund needs Deathrite. This is what we need. We don't need Ren and 6. We need Deathrite Shaman.
Ooh, if you had to choose Ren and 6 or Deathrite, would it be Deathrite? For sure, yeah.
100%. I'm like cutting my Ren and 6s as we speak right now. Whereas Deathrite, oh boy. Deathrite is good. Deathrite is like a turn 1 win con. right? Like, against control, you just sit there and drain them for 2 a turn and you're good.
Yeah, and it like eats faithless lootings and snapcaster targets and gains life if you're against burn. It's just it does so much. It ramps. It's even banned in Legacy, and that's a pretty good bar for Modern. Like if it's banned in Legacy, you probably shouldn't have it in Modern.
Yeah. All right, that's all of our fish mail for this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And I believe that brings us to the end of episode 236 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard, Grimm, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. And we will be back next week with all the new Commander 2019 spoilers and whatever else happens in the world of Magic. So, until then, this is the crew signing out.